This edition of True Hill Heat is brought to you by the Indie Wrestling Expo. 3 shows in 2 nights on August 28th and 29th from Dallas, Texas, featuring Nick Aldis defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Jeff Cobb and a winner of a Battle Royal. Now this is True Heel Heat. Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are back once again with our weekly podcast, True Heel Heat 88. On this edition of True Hill Heat, we will be discussing all the latest wrestling news, including the announcement of WWE Thunderdome, as well as Renee Young possibly leaving the WWE, the go-home show for Takeover 30, as well as a preview for NXT Takeover XXX 30, the special Saturday AEW Dynamite, and WWE Summerslam 2020. I am back once again with the princess of all the true heels, Miss Krssi Luv.
Hello.
As always, looking beautiful as usual. We are back again for the 3rd straight week. The co-host of Joints and Jabronis, the co-host of Wednesday Night Warriors, our true heel marijuana enthusiast, Chris G.
Woo!
Thank you. Back again, 3rd time's the charm. Oh man, this is a 3-peat, feeling like Kobe in 2000.
And he had to wear a Mets shirt for one of the editions, of course.
Yeah, just one episode, and that's it. I'm retiring it.
And this time on True Hill Heat 88, we have a very, very special guest. I said it on True Hill Heat 87, our holy trinity of wrestling journalists. We had on True Hill Heat 83, Tom Conahue. We had on True Hill Heat 87, Alex McCarthy. And now we have completed the holy trinity with the Holy Spirit of the Holy Trinity, the godfather to me of Sportskeeda. This man is one of the best wrestling journalists around. You guys need to follow him on Twitter and all your social media platforms because he's breaking news in his own unique way. Just like he told us it would be very ropey without the ropes on Raw Underground. It is the one, the only, Gary Cassidy.
Woo! Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure to be on the show, and what an intro. I don't think I've had an intro like that in my life, so that is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I'll just compare this to, when you're collecting, say, baseball cards. You've already got the good ones, but you're waiting on that one last one to complete the collection. That's me to your holy trinity of wrestling journalists right there.
You completed so well, sir. I appreciate you coming on the show. But for our viewers and subscribers at home that don't know you already, tell them a little bit about yourself, good brother.
So the shortest way I can put it is 3 years ago, I was doing nothing in terms of wrestling journalism. I'd studied journalism at university. I was doing a few other things here and there. And then just one day, I saw Sportskeeda were looking for, at that time they were just having contributors, so I was like, I'll just chuck something in. I've done a load of writing about music and stuff like that, never amounted to anything, but what have I got to lose? I've got plenty of time. So I contributed. I remember the article, it was about which English Premier League football team John Cena supports, and it was just him holding up a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. Wrote the article, really rubbish article, but obviously they quite liked the way I'd written it. Decided, we'll bring you into the news team. So I started doing that, and then by some miracle got an interview with DDP. My first ever interview was with DDP, and I thought, right, we can only go down from there, but if nothing else, I've got to interview DDP. Thankfully, it seems to have gone kind of, up and down a little bit. I don't want to value wrestlers compared to each other, but it went well so far. We're about 2.5 to 3 years in, roughly, of writing about wrestling, and yeah, what better time to have got into it, because man, the world of wrestling is on fire right now. So I didn't expect it to be this busy when I started, but can't complain.
like we're going on our 3-year anniversary of doing this podcast, so we definitely understand. Wrestling has blown up like never. Well, it has blown up before, but this is like the first time in quite some time wrestling is as popular and so many things going on. So we understand where you're coming from, brother. But thank you for coming on the show. Oh, my Sportskeeda godfather. This man is responsible for me writing for Sportskeeda, so I thank you for that as well, sir.
No, man, I appreciate the credit. I don't think I can take the credit, but I will take it.
You should. If anyone's going to give it to you, you should. So before we get into anything, this is a quick reminder to you, the folks at home. Push that like button. Show us your support for True Hill Heat 88. Of course, there is the iCard down at the bottom where you can subscribe and the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here. Of course, you can share this video and become a part of our 1K subscriber giveaway. We are edging close to that 1K mark, so you can help us along by sharing this content right here. But before we get into our True Hill roll call, where we shout out you, the subscribers and viewers of True Hill Heat, we got a couple of announcements. One sad announcement this week: we lost another member of the wrestling community, the second ever ROH World Champion, Xavier, a legend in the New York East Coast scene of professional wrestling. I know for me myself, when I was first watching ROH, Xavier was one of the top heels in that promotion and in the independent scene in the East Coast of the early 2000s. So, you know, the thoughts and prayers to his family out there, another lost member of the wrestling community.
Yeah.
But on more brighter news, we have an announcement about our podcast. We are now going to be working with, speaking of independent wrestling, the Indie Wrestling Expo, which will be taking place in Dallas, Texas on August 28th and 29th. 3 shows in 2 days. It's a huge weekend in wrestling featuring Nick Aldis defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Jeff Cobb and the winner of a Battle Royal that weekend. So we lost one thing in indie wrestling, but we got one thing to look forward to. So thoughts and prayers to Xavier's family and to everyone that was a friend of him.
Yep.
So segue in to shout out you, the viewers, the subscribers, all our supporters for True Hill Heat. This is our True Hill roll call. This is where we shout out everyone who's contributing on all our social media platforms. First of all, our True Hill Trinity, our top 3 conversation starters on the True Hills group page on Facebook. Coming in at number 3 is our New Japan aficionado, James Wims. Coming in at number 2 is Charlie Layton. And of course, it's Mr. 83 Weeks coming in at number 1 once again, the Negro Buck, Nick Jackson.
Woo!
A couple other True Hills we got to shout out: Alberto Ortiz, Ted Williams, Riley Holden, Tyler Ireland, Warren Teen Kid Mills, and Matt Harris. We have a couple of new subscribers on the YouTube channel, Lee Davies, as well as Charlie Fulton, and we got a couple of comments that we got to read on our YouTube subscriber highlight. Kwame Shafir on True Hill Heat 87. He says, I will say WWE moving away from the PC to the Amway Center in Orlando is a good thing because it will allow their future events like Summerslam to be presented differently. But the kicker is that it's still in front of 0 real fans. But knowing Vince's greedy determination to get those real fans back at the arenas for the shows, that's his thoughts on the move to the Amway Center. We had Shaw Powers commented on J News Japan. I think they had Kenta cheat to set up a future rematch with Cobb. So that was talking about what happened on the New Japan Cup USA semifinals, which we'll get into shortly. And of course, our king of the comments section, Kayfabe Tactics, had to comment on True Rewind 16. First off, he says, thanks for all the love and shout outs, but we've got to beef now. He says it's Aja Khan, not Asia Khan. I think he was talking to drunk guy JJ because he always gets named wrong.
That's
Well,
not nice.
he is drunk.
It makes sense. He says, pretty recently you read a comment from me and how I loved All Japan women, and these women are from there. This isn't a very good example of what they can do, to be honest. I still love this match, and the next night on Raw, I think they had another match with Aja Khan, breaks a a fucking jaw, he says, because I effing loved. I don't know why he said fucking and then effing, but
Right.
I effing loved All Japan women.
Maybe he was drunk.
Maybe he was drunk too.
He typed fucking, and then the baby came into the room, so he
Right, yeah, effing. That's a good one. You're right.
You know how it goes.
Yep, you gotta ad-lib those curse words. That's right, Chris. You know the word. You know how it goes with the kids.
He said.
Sponges.
He says their best talent was Mayeno Toyota, and she has over 25-star matches from Uncle Dave. So that was his comment on True Rewind 16. So we thank Kayfabe Tactics, Shaw Powers, and Kwame Shafir. But we got to segue into what we missed. New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, like we said before, Kenta defeated Jeff Cobb in the semifinals, as well as David Finlay defeated Tama Tonga, which is Gary Cassidy's boy. How was that chatting up with Tama Tonga, sir?
Yeah, well, I'm heartbroken that he's out of the competition, but I did think David Finlay was... I had a little feeling at the start that we might see a lot more of David Finlay than we have before. So no big deal. Great match, and yeah, I love Tama Tonga. We were just chatting about that before we went live, of how cool Tama Tonga is. You know, he's probably the coolest guy in wrestling. Just, I could listen to him talk for hours. Get him to read the dictionary, and I will be listening.
And I like the babyface look. I like the new look. It works for him, and that sets up a big New Japan Cup USA finals between Kenta and David Finlay, with the winner versus John Moxley for the IWGP US title. So New Japan will talk about all of that as it New Japan Strong. The finals is this week, and on that semifinals edition, ACH made his return to New Japan Pro Wrestling, as well as Alex Zane, Blake Christian, and PJ Black made their debuts with New Japan. So that was a jam-packed show. If you haven't watched it already, you can watch it. It's available on the New Japan World app, as well as New Japan covers it all on this YouTube channel right here. Then over on SmackDown, Braun Strowman, or Ball Strowman.
I love it. I love him both. It's about time.
He attacks Alexa Bliss after she tries to smack some sense into him before The Fiend makes the save. So did we see a double turn? Is Braun the heel now and The Fiend is the face? Krssi Luv, this is your land of opportunity right here on SmackDown. What was your thoughts on this whole thing?
Shout out to whoever told Braun that he needed to clip that little piece of hair that he had growing at the back of his head. Love it. Thank goodness. Because he has the beard. The beard will... if you have the beard, baldness will be no problem. Two, shout out to Alexa Bliss for taking such a high bump. Because I was like, she must have was thrown up in the air like...
I don't know. I mean, the lights went off. We don't know if it was a crash pad. I don't know if she took that bump.
I mean, all right, fine. But yes, I think it's a face, but I don't want it. How is the Fiend supposed to be a face now? So is it heel versus heel now? I was very confused on that part. But other than that, I'm waiting for I can't wait to see what's going to happen on Sunday.
So Gary, I have to ask you, do you think that it's more Braun kind of trying to protect Alexa Bliss by making this move, and we haven't seen a double turn, or what's your thoughts on this whole angle that they did on SmackDown?
Oh, at first I thought it was a double turn, and now I think it was about a 1.5 turn, because I think it's one of those ones where we've definitely got Braun Strowman kind of going a little bit more heelish. But the odd thing about that is, I don't know if any of you guys saw the news that came out last week, where WWE now have depth charts, apparently, or maybe they always have, but the news has just come out. And they had the three top faces on SmackDown. Matt Riddle was third, Jeff Hardy was second, and number one was Braun Strowman. And it's like, wow, surely you wouldn't turn who you think is your top face heel. I don't know, I think that maybe makes it interesting. I think The Fiend is one of those characters where it's almost, and this is not a good comparison character-wise, but it's kind of similar to the Stone Cold situation, where no matter how bad he acts, no matter how much of a heel he is, everyone's going to love him anyway. So you might as well kind of go into that grey area kind of thing, where they've tried to do it with, we've seen Roman Reigns and stuff in the past. So I think maybe they don't even know who's face and who's heel, and it's maybe a little bit of experimentation. I don't mind it. The one thing is, we might not even find out now. We knew who was faces and who was heels when they had, the performance centre recruits in the arena, because they are cheering for who's meant to be faces and booing for who's meant to be heels. Now we're going to have the virtual audiences, who knows? And maybe that makes it a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to really see what work they've done since it's been the empty arena by the virtual fans, which we're going to talk about shortly. But, Chris, we also had the WWE debut of an Impact Wrestling legend, the artist formerly known as Abyss, Joseph Park, debuted with AJ Styles with the phenomenal Intercontinental Statistic System. Yes, that's right. Piss made his debut as well. And Jeff Hardy interrupted to set up a Jeff Hardy AJ Styles Intercontinental title match on SmackDown this week. But what was your thoughts on this segment and Joseph Park's debut?
Well, I mean, I didn't expect to see him out there, so it was cool to see him, especially because I kind of had a little love for Abyss back in the day. So just to see him on screen in WWE is like a little. It's weird. It's weird, to be honest. I'm not really a fan of like what happened and the direction they're going towards, because I was really set on seeing AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship, because that was like the rumored, build up or whatever. So I don't know. I feel about it. I mean, I love Jeff. I love Jeff, but I mean, Jeff in 2020 in big feuds against AJ Styles is just not doing it for me right now. I don't know why.
I mean, Jeff was one of the guys I kind of wrote about that I thought he had a chance to versus AJ. My number one person was Big E. I wanted Big E versus AJ for the Intercontinental Championship. But what do you guys think about AJ Styles once again being left off another card? Like, they left off the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match from, I think it was Backlash. Now they're leaving off this match from SummerSlam. Krssi, you get to see it on your show, SmackDown, this coming week. But what's your thoughts on Jeff Hardy and AJ not being on the SummerSlam card?
I think it's disappointing because you would think that such a title as the Intercontinental Championship would be on the card. It's been on the card it's one of the big four and of the pay-per-views, and it is unfortunate that it's not going to be there for the summer, that they just put it and have it for SmackDown. They think that other matches are more important than that belt. So I think it's kind of sad, and it's sad that AJ can't perform and do his thing on the pay-per-view. It's yet another pay-per-view that he's been snubbed against. So
it's another sad case of AJ being too good and trying to raise up the ratings for SmackDown this week. Also on SmackDown, we had Asuka win a Battle Royal to get a shot at Bayley's SmackDown Women's Championship. So Asuka will get a shot at both Bayley and Sasha at SummerSlam for the Raw and SmackDown Women's title. And of course, we had our good brothers, the affectionately named on True Hill Heat 87, Aces and 5/8, Retribution, made their presence known once again as Big E, John Morrison, and officials backstage. They also were on Monday Night Raw this week, interrupting the show open and Drew McIntyre's go home promo by attacking the production truck. Gary Cassidy, we ask every guest host, what's your thoughts on Retribution?
That's a long
Everybody has the same reaction every time you ask them. It's just like,
Way to deflate me there by asking about Retribution. No, this is the kind of angle that is really annoying, because I feel like it's the kind of angle that on paper I love. I love invasions. I love mysterious things, anything that could lead to an unveiling. The one thing that leaves, an instant sour note is remembering the SmackDown hacker and how that didn't play out. So thinking maybe the same could happen here. Maybe don't get too invested anyway because it might not play out. But you can't have a chaotic faction who is here to dominate everything, cause anarchy, and then they just don't. We've seen them throw a brick through a window and then throw a second brick through the already broken window a few weeks ago. And then this week on Raw was filled with a little bit of hope, because they actually did something disruptive. You can tell from my accent, I don't want to hear anyone interrupting a Drew McIntyre promo. But if it's for a good cause, I'll let it slide, it's okay. And it was, it worked out okay for the first couple of minutes. Then it all went downhill because they interrupted the first 5 minutes of Raw successfully. The show, as far as we know, went off air. They completely disrupted it, went to an ad break. Lovely hook, great way to bring people back in. And then they didn't turn up for the next 2 hours and 55 minutes. So it just doesn't quite make sense. And then even after that, the one thing that I keep saying, you need to make this feel real. You need to make it feel like something that isn't part of WWE. So later on, they were verging a little bit too close on a promotional package on them when they showed a little kind of advert. That had a bit too much production. They should have maybe done that like a kind of breaking news, or this is what we know about these guys so far, to avoid it. But for me, I'm going to try and keep an open mind. I think you can tell from what I've said over the last few minutes that I'm maybe not keeping such an open mind on it. But I just think they need to do a little something more. And my biggest fear here, and the reason that I think there has been a lot of criticism, I'm not sure WWE knows where they're going with it so far. Yep. The fact that we've seen, this very, very small members of the roster being used, which a lot of people poked fun of, that was one I try and refrain from those jibes, but I did say this week, maybe they had a curfew and that's why they were on the start of Raw. But they did have bigger members this week. That leads me to believe that I think they don't quite know where they're going with it, and that's always a worry. But like I said with the Hacker, we saw it with Eric Rowan's Spider. That's where my big worry is with Retribution. So we'll wait and see. The telling point will be, now that WWE are, going to a bigger production, do you have these guys mess with the production more? And if not, you kind of ruin their gimmick. So it's a make or break deal going forward, I think.
It's definitely going to be interesting, especially with what we know with the scheduling, with SummerSlam being followed by WWE Payback. I think that, everybody's talking about they need a hot angle to cut into next week with Payback. I think that Retribution have to be a part of that, like to kind of make that their presence even more known. They have to make an impact at SummerSlam this weekend. So we'll see. We'll wait and see. I'm going to keep an open mind like Gary, but it's rough. It's rough to say.
You got an open mind about this thing? Okay, good luck.
I'm gonna try. I'm trying to give everything a chance. So we'll see.
This is true. You're right. I guess we should give it a chance, just like the Raw Underground had to give it a chance, right?
Yes, exactly. And speaking of Raw Underground, this week.
You see how I did that right there?
Thank you for the segue. Thank you. Speaking of Raw Underground,
I did my work this week.
We have Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke of the real Four Horsewomen. Yes, I said the real Four Horsewomen.
That's why I'm not giving you no alley-oops no more. See what I'm saying? You get foolishness.
Made their Raw debut along with Shayna Baszler. Marina.
You're not gonna do nothing just like her, so it doesn't even matter.
Marina Shafir made her Raw Underground debut as well with a very nice cartwheel into a kick. She was very smooth in the ring as well on Raw Underground. This led into a confrontation between Shayna and Nia Jax. What was your thoughts on the other Four Horsewomen joining Shayna on Raw, Krssi Luv?
I mean, nothing will happen with them, just like how nothing's happening with Shayna. So,
hey,
good luck with that.
Happening with Shayna. She's getting used a little bit more now.
I mean, okay. I don't think her friends are just gonna be like how they were on NXT, just background players,
It probably will be the case sooner rather than later.
Also, I was just upset that her and Nia didn't really get anything done. Nia ran away like a little girl, but
I said they need to use Raw Underground for that feud. I feel like those two women are the best two in Raw Underground.
The best part of Raw Underground was
I was so excited when she came out and then she just like walked away. I was like, what? Like, what happened?
Can't give it all away. We just had two actual characters face off for the first time in Raw Underground. They can't give away too much in one night.
Fine. Okay, go ahead.
We also saw the return of Rey Mysterio to Monday Night Raw to confront Seth Rollins and get a measure of revenge along with Dominic. What was your thoughts on Rey returning to Raw, Chris G?
I'm just going to start off with this. The whole, mijo, papi, I love you, papi. Mijo, I'm going to do this for the family. That shit is fucking cringeworthy, bro. You did this shit 15 years ago with Eddie, when you were telling Dominic you love him, mijo, I'm gonna do this for the family. Don't want to hear this shit now. I need Rey Mysterio to be like, you're a man, you're a grown-ass man now. Go out there, handle business, and put on for the family. We need intensity from Rey Mysterio, bro. I'm tired of him being this fucking dad, this beat up, shallow, hollow shell of himself dad, depending on his son to fight his battles.
To help him, to help him.
Yeah, you know, he needs a little fire. I'm tired of the mijo papi, like shit. It makes me want to smoke more. I already smoke enough.
This is true. This is very true. But he wasn't the only person to return on Monday Night Raw, as Shawn Michaels returned to address Randy Orton, who comes out and RKOs and punts HBK, who immediately gets up. Before Drew McIntyre makes the save to be RKO'd himself, HBK got a lot of heat on social media from the likes of Bully Ray as well as Velvet Sky for his lack of selling for the RKO and punt. What was your thoughts on HBK's return and his sell on Monday Night Raw, Gary?
Yeah, again, a lesser groan than the Retribution groan, but a groan nonetheless. For me, it was just, last week we saw what I think might have been the perfect segment between Randy Orton and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
If that was the go-home segment, man, that would be the most hyped-up match ever. And I'm really looking forward to the match, so, I'll say that. I think they've built it really well. But the Shawn Michaels thing just didn't really make sense anyway.
Yeah.
There's no real huge connection between him and Randy Orton, aside from, I guess, both of them know Triple H. And then there's nothing really between him and Drew McIntyre, aside from he was, one of the producers in NXT while McIntyre was there, which is something that us fans aren't really meant to know anyway. It's something that if you're watching the show and you don't pay attention otherwise, you're not really meant to know that. Shawn Michaels has only been on screen recently a bit more. So for me, it was not great. The one thing that I'll say kind of before that, I got told 3 weeks ago, I think it was now, that they were doing the angle with Randy Orton and Ric Flair 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. This is where timelines get good, but they taped both episodes. I know the week before that they had Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre with really intense promos. Apparently, the only plan before that week was that they were doing the Ric Flair angle, and that was definitely planned for that week. My big confusion is I don't know why they wouldn't have just planned it for the week after, because it makes me think maybe they didn't have anything planned the week before, which ended up in something good anyway with the promos, but maybe they also didn't have anything planned the week after, which is where Shawn Michaels has come in. Or maybe they had something else planned and it's just not worked out. I thought we might see Christian again. I thought he was going to be the one to come back and maybe he'd be the little catalyst to get this match, come back full circle. But I saw such a perfect segment. Ric Flair selling really well. Of all the people not to sell really well, Shawn Michaels isn't the one I thought would do it. So, really disappointing.
It is 2020, and Shawn Michaels still will lay down for no man.
Damn.
What did you, Krssi, think about the overall very chaotic nature of Monday Night Raw this week? It's like Gary said, it felt like a lot of things were just thrown
together. Yep, it's like for the go home show. Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like a go home show a lot of times. What was your thoughts, Krssi?
I felt like it was very rushed. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. I just felt like they just took a whole bunch of things and like shuffled the cards and let's say, okay, we're gonna do this one. That goes next. This gonna go fifth. This gonna go last, and we're gonna close out with Shawn Michaels, and that's it. Which we didn't even need Shawn there, because after the week before with Ric Flair, I didn't think that segment was really needed. I mean, it closed out and it showed Randy Orton on top, which was what the Legend Killer is all about. But it wasn't even really necessary. Like the whole back and forth with Raw Underground. Like I was liking what Raw Underground was giving this week for like the third week we've had it. Yeah. I think it's getting better. For what the product is supposed to be of Raw Underground, I'm getting to like more and more. I'm liking to see what's going to happen. Other than that, as far as Raw, it was felt very thrown together, like last minute. very bad for a go-home show for your next big pay-per-view that's happening this weekend for a big wrestling weekend. Not cool at all. As did NXT, but we'll get to NXT too. So
I agree with both Gary and Krssi. This I feel like last week with the Dominic getting last with the kendo stick and the Ric Flair segment, that would have been the perfect go home segment for both of those. Because even with the Dominic and the Rey, like Dominic got his revenge this week. Like it was like,
what's gonna happen on Sunday? It's not. We don't need to see you fight him. It's over.
And then even I didn't mention the Street Profits with Montez getting poisoned. We just find out Selena poisoned them, and this Sunday they got their revenge on Monday. So what's the point of this Sunday? So it was just thrown together a lot. It was just off. And then finally, our last thing that we missed was Impact Emergence Night 1 with the Motor City Machine Guns defeating the North to defend the Impact Tag Team titles in a very good main event. We had the Good Brothers defeat Ace Austin and Madman Fulton in their Impact in-ring debut. And finally, Rohit Raju in probably one of the biggest upsets of the year wins the X Division Championship in the three-way opener against the champion Chris Bay and TJP. Gary, you've been big on Impact Wrestling since last year, you said, and then especially with Slammiversary and everything they've done since then. What was your thoughts on Emergence Night 1?
Well, one of my favourite things about Impact, and actually I should say first, I mean, that makes them a major promotion, doesn't it? Because you need to be doing a 2-weekly special this year to be a major promotion, which we've sort of for AEW and WWE. But for me, Impact, my favourite thing about Impact Wrestling, they value their talent the right way. And I know they've not done so in the past. There are a lot of criticisms about what they've done in the past. But right now, they're doing everything right. And I keep saying it, they have become an overnight success with 3 years of preparation to become an overnight success. Yeah. So the new management have done everything right, and everything built into Slammiversary was to get to that point. Now I think they're just showing the world what they can do. They do have a lot of still technical kinks to work out with Twitch and stuff like that. That's the one thing they're not great at. But for me, the Rohit Raju title win, I think, just epitomises what Impact is doing right now. They are giving people a chance who are people that have worked to earn that chance. How many people from WWE have we seen go to Impact recently? A lot. How many of them are holding titles? One, and it's one that wasn't really valued in WWE, and Deonna Purrazzo. So they are putting the WWE guys in the right way. Eric Young is obviously someone that was an Impact legend that wasn't really used in WWE anyway, so I think he's going into the main event picture. That's something like a yes, we're finally seeing the real Eric Young again. The Good Brothers seem to be getting used the right way as well, and man, they just always look great when they've got freedom. If anyone saw Talking Shop Mania, they'll know that those guys just are there to have fun. They're going to do big things in Impact. Emergence Night 1, I thought was really good, but the one thing that I had for the full of Night 1 is I'm just like, oh man, how good is this 30-minute Iron Man match going to be next week between Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace? So annoyingly, that kind of soured my experience of what was an incredible show, because I really enjoyed the show, but that full night I'm sitting going, man, I can't wait for this match. So they've definitely valued it the right way. If they're putting them in the main event of the second night, they've done everything correctly, and I just think Impact, if they sort out the little technical deals they've got with Twitch, if they maybe, and I think Access TV is a pretty big spot to be in anyway, but if they were to maybe get a bigger TV deal, I think they would be doing great stuff. I love Impact. I think they're doing everything the right way, and I'm just absolutely enjoying watching every week.
I really enjoyed Emergence. The X Division match definitely surprised me. I didn't expect it to be that good, and then the surprise finish with Rohit Raju paying off with giving credit to a long stalwart of Impact Wrestling for the last couple of years, who kind of been a forgotten guy, and he was one of the Desi Hit Squad, which was kind of like the job squad of Impact Wrestling. For him to kind of surprise everyone and win the title, I think that's really good credit to someone who's been with the company.
The only one I feel bad for is Chris Bay, because he didn't get to hold the title too long, but well, that's wrestling.
Exactly. So we have to go into our top news now, and of course, the top news story has to do with WWE. WWE
Always.
announces the introduction of WWE Thunderdome. As we discussed on True Hill Heat 87, WWE is set to have a long-term residency at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, starting this weekend with SummerSlam. The financial details of their deal with Amway Center was revealed this week as well, saying that WWE paid $450,000 to hold events at the arena for the next 2 months. WWE has also announced that they will be converting the Amway Center into the Thunderdome with a new set, video boards, and more. The announcement also confirms that fans will not be allowed into the events, which will be restricted to essential personnel. The press release that WWE put out says WWE Thunderdome, featuring a state-of-the-art set, video boards, pyrotechnics, lasers, cutting-edge graphics, and drone cameras, will take WWE fans' viewing experience to an unprecedented level, starting this Friday, August 21st on Fox, kicking off SummerSlam weekend. The first virtual sign-up for the new concept was filled up within minutes for Friday Night SmackDown, and WWE apparently with this move to the Amway Center is considering the return of big stars like Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, as they are going to really go all out with this move over to Amway Center from the Performance Center. So what are your guys' thoughts on WWE Thunderdome and fans being a part of SummerSlam weekend? We'll start with our very special guest, Gary. What was your thoughts?
I think it's great. I think it is absolutely fantastic just because, you know, even now, see if you look back and watch, I believe it was Money in the Bank was the pay-per-view where there was no one in the arena, no one on the other side of the barricade. It is very awkward to watch. It's very, very awkward going back and watching those. We know why fans can't be in arenas, and AEW have announced today that they're going to have 10 to 15% capacity, so, I mean, that's something, but it's still not maybe going to be ideal for atmosphere. To provide atmosphere, I think this is necessary. For me, when I got emailed the press release for the WWE UK team, and I opened it and I was like, Thunderdome, which I need to say, your pronunciation of Thunderdome, the way you say it, is great. I hope WWE hire you to say that and just have that clip played every time Thunderdome is on screen, because it's great. But for me, that, I was like, what an odd name. But the name, while it is the most exciting part, you know, in terms of creative, it's the least exciting part, because who cares what the name is? We actually care about what is happening. So you mentioned there, you know, the pyro and stuff like that, the smoke, the lasers. Mentioning that, I'm like, wow. And then I don't know if any of you guys seen, but someone I would love to interview, and I think a lot of people would, Kevin Dunn, done an interview with Sports Illustrated on this. And for me, you know, firstly I'd be like, what's with all the camera cuts, man, come on. But once you get past that, you need to find out about the Thunderdome, and they did. And a lot of the stuff that they said, that he said, was great. Apparently they're going to have drones flying in the arena, which is again why they can't have limited audience, because the drones are going to enhance the experience as well. They're going to have a roof, inbuilt roof, with projections on the roof. He said that apparently, you know, the sound, which I don't know how they're going to do this, the sound is going to be half piped in sound and half sound coming from the virtual audience, so you will be able to hear if they're chanting and stuff. That one, I'm not sure how production are going to deal with that, because it's a pretty tricky thing to do. But if anyone can do it, I guess WWE are probably the people with the capability to do it. But the most exciting things, the two that stood out for me, is that he mentioned, you know, for Drew McIntyre's entrance, say, he might have, because he's such a big babyface, they might have the fans chanting and reacting to the entrance, but they're just going to turn it into, you know, a room of content all about Drew McIntyre. And the other name that he mentioned was Bray Wyatt, where they said, for him, the crowd ain't going to be seen, they're just going to make it, and they missed a pun here, they said like a fienddom, so make it a fiend's dome, like the Thunderdome. But they sold me really well, between the press release and the interview, and a little bit of, you know, tiredness surrounding the current situation, because the Performance Centre can only really be as good as they've made it anyway. They can't really make that go any further. So I think it's the right time. I think they're definitely doing it the right way, and they have completely sold me on it. Can't wait for SmackDown, can't wait for SummerSlam, and I'm just hoping it works because it will make watching the programming, no matter what's on TV, no matter if the creative isn't so great, I'll be like, wow, the Thunderdome's great. So my only disappointment is that Triple H doesn't have a match on SummerSlam because they came out like Mad Max, like he did a few years ago at WrestleMania, and completed the full story. But no, I'm excited. Can't wait to see it.
I love it. I love the enthusiasm you got for it. It gets me excited for it as well. So
what I've done for Retribution, I guess that's the opposite to balance.
you were saving it for this. Chris,
Definitely.
what's your thoughts on the announcement of WWE Thunderdome?
I like it. I'm intrigued. I want to see the setup. I want to see how the fans get to interact. I want to see what special effects they put. You know, I mean, it's one of those things. Is like you really don't know what to expect until it happens. So I'm really just waiting for it. I guess we'll find out Friday, since Friday is going to be the first day. Unfortunately, because of other big news that we're going to get into later on the show, I think the Thunderdome is going to be short-lived. Maybe they're going to do the 2 months that they signed up for to fulfill the financial agreement, and then after that, we'll talk about it.
I think that's a perfect segue. Do you think that this is going to be like the short-term future for the WWE with the way they're going to present their television with this introduction of the Thunderdome, Krssi?
I'm excited, but I'm still like skeptical, if that makes sense. Like I feel like they kind of like ripped off the NBA bubble. They have like the little people. They have like the people on the screen. I feel like they've taken that and they were like, okay, let's put it somewhere. Let's get our own fans and let's make our own thing with the stupid name that they made. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Hopefully, I mean, to give reactions to great bumps, it should be exciting now, not just me making noise. So that's pretty cool.
Yes. I like Gary said, I think it's just we needed a change, and that change is gonna make the viewing experience, at least if it's not gonna be good or bad, it's gonna be different. And we need something different after this pandemic era kind of just it became kind of just all the same.
I don't know,
with the performance center after a while, like it just got stagnant after all of this. So, but I do agree with Chris. We will get into some news. Gary kind of mentioned it. How I think this is going to be probably short-lived. Yeah, I think it's going to be this 2-month period in Amway Center, and then Vince is gonna want to bring the fans back in for sure. But we got other big news that happened this week. It's a couple of days ago. Renee Young is apparently leaving the WWE. It was first reported by Mike Johnson of PW Insider. She gave her notice about a week ago that she is planning to leave, but it is unknown what her final date will be. She will still work this weekend SummerSlam and related events. That was from the last press release that came out. Young has been working with WWE since 2012. After previously working for Canada's Score Network, she has had a variety of jobs, as we all know, from Raw color commentator, backstage interviewer. She was the host of WWE Backstage and Talking Smack and more. It remains to be seen where she will go next. While it's possible she could join AEW with her husband, Jon Moxley, she's also had offers outside of wrestling industry from ESPN as well as Fox. Her recent cookbook is an example of that. Young seemingly hinted at this last week in a post on her Instagram story, which she wrote, "I know what I bring to the table, so trust me when I say I'm not afraid to eat alone," and drop the mic. That was some bars right there. Some bars right there. This news follows the very public admission of Young that she had contracted the COVID-19 virus, and from working from the WWE TV tapings. This was during the whole big outbreak that happened in WWE, and the report that WWE officials never contacted Young to check in on her. A couple of WWE superstars as well as superstars from AEW checked on her, but never the WWE officials apparently. A lot of current and former WWE talent came out this week and expressed sadness as well as admiration for Young and her work from Dax Hartwood of FTR and AEW, Mick Foley, as well as Paul Heyman. This is very interesting news with everything that happened. She also was her show WWE Backstage was also canceled that same week where she contracted or announced she contracted the virus. So what are your guys' thoughts on the possible departure of Renee Young following SummerSlam weekend? We'll start with you, Gary.
I remember seeing that post, that incredibly put post about not being afraid to eat alone, and it did kind of signal the end, but I don't think anyone thought it would come this quickly. It's kind of interesting because who knows what kind of contract she was on. If the contract was up maybe a while ago and they were renegotiating, or maybe she wasn't on like a complete full-time contract. No idea on that situation because I believe that the broadcast kind of broadcast team are on different types of contracts. So no idea on that one. But for me, it's a big loss. Considering Kathy Kelly left not long ago and she was someone that I think, the team they've got there are still good, but Kathy Kelly was great for the social media stuff. Renee Young is legit as they come in the broadcast world, not just wrestling. And I hate downplaying wrestling like that, but the reality is she can probably, no matter what she's earning at WWE, she can probably earn more than that somewhere else doing something mainstream. The oddest thing about this, there's been these kind of little back and forth for a while. I don't know if anyone remembers on Backstage when John Moxley made a little cameo, and I think that might have, upset a few people as well, so maybe that is something that contributed. You mentioned the COVID thing, maybe that did as well. Maybe, the way WWE is right now and just the Performance Centre stuff, maybe that contributed. Who knows? But for me, I think Renee Young is just a phenomenal talent. She's somebody that I think they will really struggle to replace on those pre-shows if they keep going with the pay-per-view pre-shows. And I guess maybe Backstage being gone, that kind of minimises the kind of loss. But at the same time, Raw Talk returns. If they were to bring back Talking Smack, she would have been perfect for that. I just think, for me, I kind of hope she goes to AEW because I want to see more of her in wrestling. But, she could go anywhere. And I actually wouldn't mind her going to AEW. I know they've got a plethora of people that are talented here. But if she went and done commentary, because I think she got an unfair, a really unfair criticism about her commentary. I thought she was good on commentary. But I don't really mind. I just hope that, she goes and is valued somewhere else, because that seems like the thing that she feels like she was missing from what we know anyway.
Absolutely agree with you there. Krssi, what's your thoughts on Renee Young's possible departure?
It was only a matter of time. Like, that's my thinking of it. I knew it was going to happen, just didn't know it was going to happen this quickly. But like he said, it's probably like a number of things. Her having COVID, John getting her camera shot, not even on purpose, but mostly probably by accident. It's probably a number of things. She's just probably like, it's probably about time that I can just go and I worth something more once I leave if I'm by myself. Like, you probably think I'm not going to make it, but for sure my name carries a lot more than you think. You probably think that I'm just WWE, and that's probably not the case at all. She can go anywhere, and I'm excited. I wish Talking Smack would have came back. I like that. I think she would have been perfectly fine. I thought that was actually a great show. But I'm excited to see where she lands and what's going to happen for her.
And I think it was kind of ironic that the rumors of Talking Smack returning literally came like days before we got this news that she was departing. It was like they were kind of trying to bring it back to give her something at the same time. She's also actually been talking about making a comic book as well. So she's a multi-talented lady, like Gary said. She's going to get a job no matter where. I know right now, though, places like ESPN and Fox are not really hiring. They're kind of cutting down more than ever. So AEW is a cool option as well for her. Chris G, do you believe that the whole controversy with WWE's handling of the virus had anything to do with her decision to depart the company?
I think it was a cog in the machine that is the car, that started to drift away when Moxley went to AEW, when he said
I
he
like that
wasn't going to
analysis,
resign.
friend.
I know. You see, Mary helps me sometimes. But the fact that it feels like since Moxley left, little by little, they have been like stripping little things from her, whether it was commentary, talking smack, pre-shows, whatever. It feels like they've been stripping duties a little bit away from her. And I mean, the Mox cameo, he did that shit on purpose. He knew what he was doing. It might have got her some heat. It might have got her some heat, but I think it was more like just the trajectory of everything, the way everything is going. The COVID test probably was a catalyst. Like, hey, I'm in an unsafe work environment when my husband is taking precautions every week and they're testing him every time that he goes to tape and shit. So that might have something to do with it. I don't think she's going to have any hard time looking for work. ESPN, regardless if ESPN's not hiring or not, I think they know the following and the viewers, or basically the fans behind Renee Young, they can get those, and it might be worth the contract, whatever they pay her. But she's easily just an option to go to AEW because her husband works there, and they can use her for commentary backstage. She's talented. She can bring a lot to the table.
She can do it. Yep.
So this is WWE dropping the ball once again.
It is. It's kind of sad to say that, but it's a situation that we're gonna have to keep our eye on for sure. But we have to segue into the go home show for WWE NXT Takeover XXX Takeover 30. This is not the time of the week. We are not going to be talking about week 46 of the Wednesday Night War because there was no war last night. We did not have AEW Dynamite. We will be talking about the special Saturday AEW Dynamite that's coming up on August 27th and the lineup for that towards the end of the show. But we have to talk about the go home show for Takeover 30. But I will give you the ratings for WWE NXT, and it was an interesting one with no Dynamite as competition. Krssi Luv, hit the drums. So NXT finishes off a solo, no AEW competition with 853,000 viewers.
Wow.
This is their highest rating since October 2nd. Yes, since the first week of the Wednesday Night War, this is their biggest rating yet with 853,000 viewers. On October 2nd, they got 891,000 against the debut of Dynamite. No, actually, on November 20th, they had 916,000, but 853,000, their biggest of 2020 ratings-wise. So quite
That's unfortunate.
Quite the night for WWE NXT. Velveteen Dream defeats Finn Balor to become the final participant in the 5-way North American title ladder match at TakeOver 30. To the dismay of the wrestling community, not just Krssi Luv with that sigh right there. Johnny Gargano defeats Ridge Holland to also advance to that ladder match with a brutal bump. We talked about him landing on his head on the last True Hill Heat 87, and we got to actually see it. I didn't think we were going to see it. I thought they were going to edit it out, but they did not. They showed it to the crowd, to us as sitting at home as well. Raquel Gonzalez returns to once again align herself with Dakota Kai and attack NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai ahead of TakeOver 30. Rhea Ripley and Shotzi Blackheart defeat the Robert Stowe-Brand, Mercedes Martinez, and Aaliyah in a pretty good tag team matchup. An incredible video package on Keith Lee versus Karen Cross for the NXT Championship. I said it on Twitter. This was probably the best video package of 2020 for the WWE. And in the highlight of the show, and it pains me to say this, in the highlight of the show, Pat McAfee cuts one of the best go-home promos that we've heard for Summerslam weekend, cutting a promo against Adam Cole, building up to their big match at TakeOver 30. So I will start with Krssi Luv for this one. What are your thoughts on the big ratings for WWE NXT and what went down on the go-home show?
Very surprised that they had such a big ratings for their go home show that I didn't even think was that good. I for their go home for their show going into Takeover 30. Come on, this is Takeover. It's supposed to be something of a big night, and it was just like, meh. Like the video package did it for me. I thought that was phenomenal. I was like, that brings me back to like their old video packages that like build up. That's a good build up. Still think that they shouldn't have gave Keith Lee the belt if they're gonna take it away to make Cross so big, because Cross is huge right now. And I just thought the show was like kind of like thrown together and like pieced together. Didn't like the whole Velveteen Dream and Finn Balor match. I'm not sure why Finn is like being like, you brought him over and now he's been like squashed. Like he's been squashed his entire time on NXT. Let's just call it what it is. Like, I don't know.
He's always a big star. Maybe he hasn't got the push you wanted for him. You're a big Finn Balor fan, but I wouldn't say he's been squashed.
Okay, friend. If we could call it what you want to. I'm just telling you what we see over here.
He's only been losing 83 weeks in a row.
Thank you. See, thank you, Chris. See what I'm saying? He the only one that don't see it.
I don't think he's been squashed. That term is a little too strong for Finn Balor. She meant buried.
I meant buried. There we go.
I mean, it needed Timothy Thatcher to interfere with that. That's also been named for a match for Takeover 30, Thatcher versus Balor. So they had to set up another match for Takeover. Takeover only had 4 matches.
For him to lose again?
That's not a guarantee. You never know. He has won at all the takeovers, though. He won at Takeover Portland, he won at Takeover War Games, and he won at Takeover In Your House.
But his track record on NXT Wednesday night has been is like 0-55. 83. There you go, friend. 83. Other than that, my answer's too long. I'm sorry. I thought the show was okay. As for a closeout show for Takeover, I expected way more.
All right. So, Gary, how about you? What's your thoughts on the big ratings for WWE NXT and the Go Home show?
I actually think the rating wasn't as big as I thought it would be. I thought they might get to 1 million because of the no competition thing, but maybe that was me having high expectations.
Very high. Sorry, Gary. Too high. Yeah,
I think it was definitely high expectations. Either way, I do agree. I think the show was a bit of a nothing show. The one thing that I would say is they're progressing the storylines well, even when it's a nothing show, because the Cross Keith Lee is. No matter what you thought about the thing that happened a couple of weeks ago with the signing, I know that was a bit mixed. It made people watch, and people were watching that video quite a bit. I wish WWE would go over their obsession with eyes. I think they need to stop doing that. But yeah, I think for me it's a bit of an interesting one. They are probably doing the right things while still doing the wrong things, I guess. So, I mean, Takeover's still an exciting pay-per-view. I love what they're doing with I'm a big fan of Shotzi Blackheart, Rhea Ripley as well. So I like what they're doing there. And like you said, Pat McAfee, man, he has completely sold me on this match. And I didn't think I was able to say that. I think I'm in the minority here. I got a little bit, not bored of Adam Cole. That's, again, a strong statement. But I know he can put on amazing matches. I've seen a lot of amazing matches. After he lost the championship, it was like, I don't really know what's next unless you put him on Raw SmackDown. I don't really think I'm interested in seeing much else on NXT. I didn't think the person that would make me interested was Pat McAfee. They built it perfectly. The stuff that they done, it was a bit, when they started putting it on TV and you knew, right, okay, there was no way it was, a shoot in any way. Of course it was a work. I think most people thought that anyway, but there was no way it was a shoot in any way. But they still managed to get it interesting on TV. They managed to transform it from something that was quite cool to something that is going to be a blockbuster match. And I don't know if anybody has seen the video of Pat McAfee training, which I know it's different training than being in the ring at TakeOver, but that led me to believe that he's not going to disgrace himself whatsoever. As someone who doesn't watch NFL and doesn't really know anything about Pat McAfee, I'm still excited about this, and it just takes looking at Twitter to know that he is a big draw because he's got an incredible amount of followers. His YouTube has a ridiculous amount of subscribers. ESPN have picked up the story, so it's big news, and I think it's going to be an entertaining match.
I am one person, and I agree with so much you said. I am one person who I've been an NFL fan. I was a Colts fan when he won a Super Bowl, but when they said the name Pat McAfee, I had no clue who the hell he was.
Well, he was. Yep.
But they have done a good job of transitioning this from the start of it, where I was really down on that segment where he punted Adam Cole because he took away from a very good tag team match between Imperium and Undisputed Era with nothing but short jokes. It really didn't interest me. I was like, this seems like a grade school rivalry more than a major match at Takeover. He completely turned my viewpoint on this within the last 2 weeks. Adam Cole showed a lot of intensity in his promo last week, and then Pat McAfee, I was down on it watching it live because the mannerisms that McAfee was doing was a lot of, it felt forced to me. It felt like he was trying to be a wrestling mannerisms, but once I took a second viewing of it and listened to what he was actually saying, that is a money promo. That is a heat-seeking promo. He cut out all the short jokes. He talked about Adam Cole. He built up Adam Cole. He said, Adam Cole, you're great. You've been all over the world. You've beaten everybody. You were undefeated for 400 days, and it took me 1.5 minutes to kick you and knock you out in a couple of weeks ago. That was perfect. It was pitch perfect. It was a great heel promo. I said, and I'll say it again, he would make a great heel manager. I've seen the stuff that he's done in the ring with his training with Rip Rogers and in his ring. Everything he did in that little training montage, though, said babyface to me. It didn't really. He was doing like stand-in moonsaults and stuff like that. I don't know if he's going to be able to transition what's a really great heel character on the mic to in the ring, because to me, naturally, if a celebrity is going to be good in the ring, you want to cheer him. You want to cheer somebody who's not really that trained in the sport, and you want to cheer them if they're going to be actually good, and it seems like he's going to be actually good. So I don't know how the juxtaposition in the characters are going to work from when he's in the ring, but this has been a great way to turn Adam Cole babyface, because he looked like a badass out there. His final line was saying, I'm going to make you my bitch, and just the look on McAfee's face sold me on the whole match. I was like, this is a big match for TakeOver. Whether I think McAfee's a big star or not, his Twitter following definitely says he's a star. His YouTube subscribers says he's a star, and the fact that he came out with AJ Hawk, I know Chris G probably got something to say about that. Says a lot. He got actual NFL stars to come on the show. It's going to get picked up by ESPN and all these sports platforms. So it is going to be a type of a mainstream draw for TakeOver 30, which is something they needed. And as a go-home show, I agree with both Krssi and Gary. It felt a little bit off for most of the segments. A lot of the segments didn't feel like it was going home. Like the final segment was really good to kind of build up that ladder match. I love Cameron Grimes. Was the highlight. He wasn't even in the main event, but he was the highlight of that whole main event segment with standing up on the ladder, holding the North American title. He was like a leprechaun with his pot of gold at the top of the ladder, just talking his shit the whole time. He made that final segment to me. That was good to build up that match. I like Raquel Gonzalez coming back, and I like the whole character of Dakota Kai telling us, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to do it on my own. And then Raquel Gonzalez comes out. That's her insurance policy. And no one was believing that Dakota can do it on her own against Shirai, so they needed Raquel to come back and kind of give her that. Mm-hmm. Give people the doubt that Shirai is not going to be able to defend her title with Raquel in Dakota Kai's corner. And I really like the video package. That video package was the best of WWE whole year, and probably one of the best NXT has ever produced. It just built up that match as one of the biggest matches ever, and it actually gave me a feeling that Keith Lee could possibly win on Saturday. I think a lot of people are counting. Yeah, I think a lot of people are counting him out, but I think that this is Cross's opportunity to not just prove that he's a great character, but that he can actually live up to the main event stature and do a 15-20 minute match. I've known some people are saying that it should be sub 10 minutes. No, an NXT title.
No.
After the history of the
15,
NXT
20.
Yeah, after the history of the NXT title match, this match has to be about 15-20 minutes. So this is a big opportunity for Cross to live up to that mantra of the NXT title match. So I think it's going to be a really great match, and that video package kind of set it up perfectly. And I am happy that NXT got this rating. And I think, Gary, you were forgetting that 18 to 49 demo does not watch NXT. So that's because there was no AEW on, they would watch NXT. No, they probably watched the NBA.
NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
That's why I was surprised, because I was like, wait, it's coming on Saturday. So I was like, okay, why is it coming on Saturday? And then I was like, oh, then when I turned to do my picture-in-picture for my regular Wednesday ritual, I noticed that it was the playoffs playing. So
Chris G, we know you got Wednesday Night Warriors, but tell us, what was your thoughts on this big rating for NXT?
Yeah, not too many details because I need you guys to watch my show too. But no, I'm joking. I had predicted that it would be between 8 to 900,000. I knew they weren't going to reach 1 million because of the NBA playoffs. So it's right around what I expected. The viewership was going to go up because there's no AEW Dynamite, but it wasn't going to hit a point where we were going to say, "Oh shit, wow, they provoked the rating," because there's just other stuff on that is more entertaining sometimes. I don't think it was a good go-home show. It was a decent episode of NXT, but for a go-home show to the 30th takeover, like, it feels such a big takeover, like a monumental number, 30, you know? So to have an underwhelming go-home show, it felt kind of flat, but I mean, I'm invested into most of the feuds anyway. So hopefully on TakeOver Saturday, we go to the moon!
I already know what's your prediction for that match. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kind of run down a couple of other news points. WWE news, a very scary incident over the weekend. A man apparently broke into the Florida home of Sonja Deville. This man and stalker made her alarm go off, where Sonja saw him on her patio, but she was able to get herself and a house guest out and to their car to call 911 in time. The house guest was her real life best friend and WWE rival, Mandy Rose. We are very all thankful for that Sonja and Mandy were able to get out safely, and things ended the way that it did. But Gary, I gotta ask you, what's your thoughts on this very crazy news story? I know everybody's been talking about this one. This was something that's out of the ordinary. We've seen fans kind of take it to the over the top level, but this is a whole different type of story and situation here.
Yeah, I think that the only positive to take from this is the outcome, and that nothing, negative, apart from the obvious feeling on it, nothing negative happened to Sonja Deville, because when you look at the details of, how the guy was arrested, man, it looked like a lot of scary stuff could have happened. Obviously, don't want to speculate on what could have happened, but just knowing what he had on him and the kind of instability that Sonja Deville read out a message that she'd found from who she believed to be him on social media. It just seemed like the kind of thing that you just need to be thankful that they got out okay, and not even just that, the fact that their alarm worked, because if the alarm didn't wake them up or anything happened, you don't know what could have happened. But for me, I keep saying this is kind of a deep-rooted problem where I think social media has been absolutely fantastic in letting people get closer to wrestlers. I think that's one thing that needs said. Social media has been incredible. I love it seeing, someone on my timeline that gets either a follow or even a tweet or a reply, anything from one of the wrestlers, because it obviously makes their day. That being said, not everyone out there is, and this is going to a very minimal version, but not everyone is able to be kind of respectful and no boundaries and stuff like that. This was obviously an extreme version where not only did this person not know boundaries, if you found their Twitter profile, the public one that I found of them, they did seem like they were reaching out for help and obviously didn't get that help, but also they were sending kind of pretty scary things to Sonja Deville as well. It's just a scary situation, but the main thing is I think people just need to kind of learn overall to be more respectful, because no matter, and I would like to think that almost no one would think of going to that length to do anything, but you've got to think that if we get to a situation where we can meet wrestlers again, we can go to shows, wrestlers are probably going to be a little bit hesitant when it comes to interacting with fans because this kind of thing can happen. They don't know if you're going to be a really respectful fan, the best person in the world to interact with, or if you're going to be, you know, a complete psychopath who is intending on causing them harm. So I think it's just worth being a bit more respectful of the boundaries. The thing that I always say, and this is something that I used to kind of laugh about, and I think now I'm probably going to have to think a bit more seriously about it, is whenever I've went to, you know, WWE shows, I've went and done media beforehand that is in a hotel, and it's in the hotel that the wrestlers are staying at. There's always a lot of people outside waiting to meet them. WWE security is normally quite good at kind of keeping that boundary there and making sure that no one gets like their personal space encroached upon too much. But I always laugh because I come out the hotel and I'm like, they've all got a wrestlers coming out and it's just me coming out, and I'm like, wait, it's actually quite scary that this amount of people are finding out the location that wrestlers are in, whether it's an airport or hotel. Their home address is a whole other kettle of fish. That is one step above. But I went down to Blackpool for Takeover, and there was people just waiting in the hotel in the lobby all weekend waiting to meet wrestlers, and they did get to meet you. They got to meet Triple H because he came to the hotel. He was staying in a different one, I think, but he came to the hotel that I was staying in, a load of the talent was staying in to do a conference call with us. And when I went out, the amount of people crowding him as well. But I know that's the thing, you know, you need to go and get your selfie. That's just the way it is nowadays. I just hope people do kind of respect the boundaries. Obviously, I would encourage no one to ever, you know, try and hunt down a wrestler's address. That's insane. But I think everybody needs to just respect that wrestlers do need their space. They do need to kind of be themselves, be humans. They can't be wrestlers all the time as well. And maybe just understand that wrestlers won't know the difference between a nice normal fan and someone intending on causing them harm. So I think that's maybe the message. But the main thing is just condemning what the guy done, because obviously it's just a terrible thing that no one should ever have to go through. And I'm sorry to Sonja Deville that she did have to go through it, and hopefully she isn't too, you know, emotionally distressed by it, but at least she's not physically hurt.
Yeah, thankful that it didn't end as badly as it could have with everything that he had on hand, pepper spray, zip ties and stuff. He was attempting to kidnap her and keep her away from SummerSlam weekend. So we hope that he stays in jail. They have I think a court case this weekend to kind of decide if he's gonna be able to post bail, but hopefully they just keep him in prison for a while because he kind of needs to learn and deal with his whole mental state as well. And speaking of fans with wrestlers, WWE introduces virtual meet and greets for SummerSlam weekend for $125 per person. You get 2 minutes with the WWE superstars on a virtual meet and greet, as they officially called on Twitter. It should be known as WWE Only Stands. Chris G, what is your thoughts on this virtual meet and greet?
Well, I was going to hit up Matt Riddle and see if I could roll the joints that he smokes for the rest of his life, because that'd be a pretty sweet gig. But no, in all seriousness, virtually. It's a good business model for WWE. You know, they want people to feel included. They want to make that extra income that they're missing off of the actual meet and greets that happen physically, especially around this time. One of the big 4 pay-per-views, there's access and meet and greets all over the place, you know, so they're missing out on a ton of money. So from a business standpoint, it makes sense. But from a fan standpoint, I'm not going to pay somebody $125 to look at them through a TV screen
or a
Zoom call and ask them about, you know, me personally, I'd have questions for the rest. Hey, how was your day? You know, I'm a person type of guy. But then you got these other fucking fans that are, you know, going to pay $125, and it's going to be super awkward. So if you want to waste $125 to be super awkward with your favorite wrestler, do what you got to do. But for me, ain't my cup of tea. I'd rather talk shit on True Hill Heat for $3.99.
hey, you can talk your shit as well in the comment section below. Triple H had his usual conference call prior to NXT Takeover 30 this week, addressing a number of different things. Renee Young was one of the latest things. He also confirmed that the WWE draft will occur later this year, teasing some involvement of NXT. He was also asked about Velveteen Dream. I think Wrestling Observer Radio had the perfect back and forth between Brian and Uncle Dave. Brian said that I heard Triple H had his conference call and had a whole bunch of questions that he had no answer for. And Uncle Dave replied, he said things. That was the best explanation as I listened to that conference call. They also talked about Lars Sullivan with workout videos, teasing his return to action. Our good friend Alex McCarthy of Talk Sport, who is on True Hill Heat 87, me and Chris G also took part of the quiz this week on Talk Sports on Talk Wrestling. Our good friend Gary was also on there as well, and he reports just today, Thursday, that Shane McMahon is being considered to be head of creative for WWE Raw after his introduction of Raw Underground recently. Krssi Luv, what's your thoughts on Shane McMahon potentially heading up Monday Night Raw?
I mean, we could take anything right about now. I mean, what do we got to lose? Nothing really. I mean, if he got some ideas that'll like make things better, bring him on. He's brought Raw Underground, which is something that everyone is starting to get adjusted to and starting to like. If you got new ideas from creative, then let's go, friend. There's nothing that they have to lose now.
True. And speaking of Raw Underground, the Twitter account Dan Belzer teases the introduction of a Raw Underground title, which is being said to be similar to the Hardcore title of the past.
I knew you was going to say that. Oh, God.
Uncle Dave Meltzer also says on Twitter that the reason for WWE Backlash coming a week after SummerSlam is for an experiment to see how it works, and they must have a hot angle plan for this weekend. Gary, I'm going to ask you for your first prediction for the weekend. What do you think is going to be the hot angle for SummerSlam leading into Payback?
I think you're right. Well, Retribution definitely has to be involved in some way because, you know, Retribution and Payback are synonyms, so surely that's the reason they've brought the pay-per-view back. But I don't know, I think it has to be I think we're going to see a main event or one of the main events being redone. I wouldn't think it would be Braun versus Bray. I think we might see a rematch between Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. Yeah. But my kind of, if you're asking me what I'm most excited to see, it, of course, has to be Mandy Rose versus Sonja Deville because someone's going to end up bald like Braun Strowman. So who doesn't want to see that? That's definitely the match that I can't wait to watch.
We're definitely going to talk about that when we get into our predictions. Final WWE news notes is following his loss to Stipe Miocic at UFC 252, Daniel Cormier retired from MMA. In his latest comments, he expressed his continued interest in coming to WWE, as well as WWE echoed their interest in Cormier. We all, as reported on True Hill Heat 87, Fightful Select reports that there is a fair amount of heat on Velveteen Dream and the idea of preferential treatment towards Dream with the image that others would have been fired for the same things he is accused of. And to be fair to WWE, NXT from last night was filmed the same week that Dream returned, so maybe WWE did not know that the Velveteen Dream would get so much heat. Also, the two other accusers of the Velveteen Dream have come out and said that WWE has never came to them or investigated their allegations against the Dream.
Wow.
And AEW news, the big news from AEW, as Gary talked about earlier in the show, AEW announces it will host a limited ticket event at Jacksonville's Open Air Daily's Place Amphitheater starting on Thursday, August 27th. It will only have 10 to 15% capacity to safely bring back the energy to their shows and follow the CDC guidelines. Every person will have to wear a mask. There will be section offs with with social distancing for the different pods of people that are coming together. But what are you guys' thoughts on fans actually being allowed back into the arenas for AEW action? We'll start with you, Krssi.
That's like sending the kids to school. It's the same thing. It's. I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. I want to be safe, but I want to be entertained. Like I want my kids to learn, but I also want them not to get coronavirus. So I don't know. It's like the 50-50. It's like I'm teeter-tottering on the seesaw. I don't know which one to pick. I mean, if they're going to be safe, they've been proving that everyone has been safe. They've been following protocols, unlike some other people we know. So if they're going to do everything within the guidelines and be safe, then I'm all for it. Hey, do your thing. I'm going to be watching, and I'm still going to watch it and be entertained and see what you guys are going to do. So I'm not going to go yet. So.
Chris G, how about you? What's your thoughts on AEW bringing in fans?
Did they say if it was going to be in Daly's place where they're currently recording?
Yeah, Daly's place.
Well, the good thing about that, I think it's an open environment.
Open air.
So 10-15 capacity, you can space people out. Everybody's required to wear a mask. I think the proper guidelines are in place to at least start getting some fans into the arena. I mean, the fans bringing the money with these live shows, with the attendance physically being there, on top of buying merch and concessions, all that. So it's a start, and I think they're doing it the right way. So I'm excited.
And I think we talked about this from the first week that there was like the reports that they were bringing in. They had like friends of the company coming in to the arena. We said this was the test. They were testing it out, so in the future they could be the first ones to kind of bring back fans in, yeah. And that's what basically happened. But Gary, I have to ask you a very interesting question. What do you think Vince McMahon's reaction is to this? Because we all know Vince McMahon wanted to be the first wrestling promotion or overall company to have fans back at arenas. So what do you think his thoughts on AEW beating him to the punch?
He may be looking for his receipt for those screens to send him back. That might be possible. No, that's the one thing that I don't know anything about how the screens, if there's any kind of lease on them. I know that they've hired a group called the Famous Group, and that's who's providing the screens. They've done some very exciting stuff. I've seen something with the Baltimore Ravens where they had a virtual raven flying right across the pitch and stuff like that. Looks great, but it might be a little bit, might be having some buyer's remorse now that AEW put out this statement, because I know it's only 10% or 15% or whatever, but it's still people. I'm not sure how much of an atmosphere it will bring, but it will bring more of an atmosphere than no people. I think it will bring more of an organic atmosphere than what screens with people on it will bring as well. And yeah, for me, I think this is the kind of thing that over here, I live in Scotland, I don't live in the US. In Scotland, we've not had a death for about 3 weeks from coronavirus. There's still cases.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm still kind of hesitant to go outside and do things like a normal person. So for me, I think I'm maybe not the right person to look at this objectively. I think I'm always going to be like, it's still a little bit too soon.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe it's always going to be too soon. Maybe you just need to take a step and see what happens. And I do think, reading through their statement, it looks like they're doing a lot of the things that, you can't argue with them being the right things. And I watched a thing recently that I think was based in Chicago from Warrior Wrestling. And they had, they had a football, I think it was a stadium technically, but quite a small stadium. The ring right in the middle of it, and then those pods that are mentioned in the AEW statement of people socially distanced all through the arena, and it looked fantastic. I mean, obviously Chicago's a beautiful place anyway, but it just looked absolutely amazing. So again, I'm really excited for this. I think it could be a good move. I really hope that no one's negatively affected after the tapings, and hopefully it's the right step and not a step they're taking too soon. But I'm excited for it, and I think it's a good step if nothing negative comes from it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, they are far along than most of us probably think like it's too soon, but they have been taking these steps for a while. It's been like a couple of months where they've been bringing in like friends of different people, of the wrestlers and people in the company, to kind of bring in and test out their guidelines. So this is just another progression for them, but I am quite interested to see how Mr. McMahon reacts to this.
He's gonna try to rush to get it all done himself too. He's waiting for it.
Absolutely.
We want 50 capacity, pal.
Right. But you're the one that's gotten people several coronavirus. You didn't want to make sure everyone was safe, so you could have been doing this too. But no, you didn't want to do that.
Hey, it takes a while for him to learn things. It's okay. AEW also made news this week with releasing talent. Jimmy Havoc, B. Priestley, and Sadie Gibbs in the company's first round of major releases during the pandemic. All three wrestlers were currently in the UK and unable to perform on AEW. Jimmy Havoc was taken off of TV after allegations came out against him during the Speaking Out movement. Priestley was also involved in allegations as well. Gibbs and Priestley have publicly addressed the releases, expressing gratefulness for their time in the company and for all those that contributed to their time there. Jim Cornette, the number one detractor of AEW, came out on his podcast and claimed that in talks with Tony Khan prior to the formation of AEW, that Khan wanted to bring Goldberg into the company to repeat his legendary WCW winning streak, but Cody, the EVP of AEW, has come out and debunked those rumors, stating that AEW and Goldberg were never in contact, claiming no truth to this. And Tony Khan also revealed the upcoming schedule for AEW Dynamite during the NBA playoffs. Like we said before, this Saturday, August 22nd, there will be a Dynamite. This next following week, it will be on Thursday, August 27th. That will be the first one with ticketed fans there with 10 to 15% capacity. We'll be back on Wednesday on September 2nd. And a note on this is going to be a week of Wednesday Night Warriors for you, Chris, where it's going to be only AEW Dynamite and no NXT. There's been no mention from WWE, but I just heard about this on Wrestling Observer Radio that the NHL playoffs will preempt NXT, and NXT will be, I believe, on Tuesday or Thursday that week for the go home show to All Out. We'll have All Out on Saturday, September 5th. Then it'll be back on Wednesday again for September 9th. It will be late night on Wednesday, September 16th. And AEW Dynamite will be back on Thursday on September 17th. And then back to every Wednesday following that week. New Japan news, we have Tama Tonga, our good friend for Gary and of us at True Hill Heat. He said in a recent interview with Fightful, AEW is run by guys that New Japan Pro Wrestling built or helped built. Pa, pa, pa. Shot fired. Switchblade Jay White will return to New Japan Pro Wrestling this week to be a part of New Japan Strong with the New Japan Cup USA Finals. So very happy that one of the best heels in the business is coming back. Gabriel Kidd is also out of action with the neck injury, so he'll be off of the New Japan Summer Struggle events. And we will preview New Japan Summer Struggle, the big Jinku Stadium show, on next week's True Hill Heat for our 3-year anniversary. Impact Wrestling news, the Norse Ethan Page contract with Impact Wrestling is apparently about to expire in January, and AEW has expressed interest. His tag team partner Josh Alexander's contract will not expire until well after January of 2021. Gary, I gotta ask your thoughts. What's your thoughts on Ethan Page? Do you think he's gonna re-sign with Impact, or maybe potentially go to AEW with the interest from that company?
I think he's one of these guys that, as much as I talk up Impact, and I think they are doing fantastic stuff, Ethan Page is a guy that, if he spent his life in Impact, he would probably regret not going elsewhere. AEW is a place that I think either him on his own or in a team in the North, they would do fantastically well there. I kind of hope he stays in Impact because I love Impact Tag Team Division, but I do think he would do amazing work, and I would love to see him, if Cody still got the belt at that time, in one of those open challenges. I think that would be good.
I'm very interested to see who wins this TNT Championship matchup on Saturday, which we'll get to shortly, because I really enjoyed this open challenge and bringing new people in, so I don't want to see it end just this fast. But
yeah,
to see. Also, Impact News, Alex Shelley reveals on Twitter that Benjamin Carter, Trey Lamar, and Lee Mariri will debut for Impact Wrestling very, very soon. Trey Lamar and Benjamin Carter, I actually first saw on Warrior Wrestling Friday Night Lights, like Gary mentioned before, that we sponsored. You can check out that on High Spots Wrestling Network, and you can see our True Hill Heat trailer on that pay-per-view. Cheap plug. ROH ROH News, PW Insider reports that EC3 will be making his ROH debut as part of their TV taping in Baltimore this week. What's your thoughts on EC3 after his appearance for Impact Wrestling and his feud with Moose ongoing, him making a debut with ROH, Chris?
It's unexpected, but I like it. I like EC3. I like the fact that he's going to be on multiple promotions. So
Get that money.
Keep getting that money, brother. Keep doing what you got to do.
It was also revealed this week with ROH that Delirious has taken full control of the creative for the company while Marty Scurll is on leave while they investigate the allegations against him during the Speaking Out movement. I got to give it up to ROH. We gave a lot of slack to ROH in 2019, but the precautions that they're taking with the COVID-19 virus, as well as their actions to some of the people that have allegations during the Speaking Out movement, have to be commended, as well as them paying out front all of their talent for the events that didn't take place. Even non-contracted talent they paid during this time. And I know, Krssi, you weren't very familiar with ROH, but you heard a lot of bad things. Not so much from me, but from JJ during 2019. So what's your thoughts on all their actions during this pandemic period?
Listen, right now, I think 2020 has taught everyone to be creative and just come out rolling. And what do you got to lose, pretty much? So it's like, if you have something, give it your all, and be creative and give us something, because people want to be entertained right now, since we can't really travel and go anywhere and do much outside of like the whole, distance of being around people. So I mean, I'm with it, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
And then our final two news notes, 10 of the 16 competitors in the Pure Title tournament for ROH have been revealed. PJ Black, Tony Deppen, David Finlay, as we mentioned before, Jonathan Grisham, Jay Lethal, Rocky Romero, Matt Sydal, Tracy Williams, Josh Woods, and Wheeler Yuta will all be in the Pure Title tournament. They are going back to the traditional Pure Title rules. No open fist. The rope, you only get 3 rope breaks on your. After that, you can no longer use the rope to break submission holds, and any interference, anybody that interferes will be ejected from ROH competition moving further. So very interesting rules with the Pure Title tournament, and Pure Wrestling is back in Ring of Honor. And other wrestling news, sad news, Buff Bagwell was involved in a car accident this week. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reports it appears Buff Bagwell was transported to the Wheelstar Kinstone Hospital with serious injuries after wrecking into various objects in his Chevy Tahoe yesterday. Investigators say they believe Bagwell was impaired by prescription medication. So our prayers and thoughts out to the former WCW superstar. We hope that he gets his life together and he recovers from this accident. And then for our final segment, to bring up the spirits a little bit, we got a preview and predictions for this big jam-packed weekend. So much stuff going on. First of all, we got to start off with the Saturday AEW Dynamite. This is a big one for AEW to see if their fans will view them on a Saturday after, missing out on the Wednesday Night Wars this week. First up, we got FTR going up against Private Party. This is an interesting clash of styles right here, but this is really gonna see how good FTR really is if they can get a really great match out of this young team of Private Party. We will start with you, Gary. Who you got, FTR versus Private Party?
I like Private Party, but it's got to be FTR. I think they're going to need to continue that build and make them look strong going forward for when we seem to get the fans in the building to get that Young Bucks match.
Yep.
Absolutely, I'm with you there. Krssi Luv?
I definitely agree with Gary. Definitely liking Private Party, but for sure FTR is definitely winning. They're not losing, because it's got to be something to look forward to for when they go against the Bucks. So,
Chris?
Yeah, I don't even like Private Party, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with FTR.
This one is on paper. It looks like more of a glorified squash match, but we got the elite,
Right.
of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Dark Order, Allen Five Angels, Alex Reynolds, and the star of Being the Elite, in my opinion, John Silver. The Elite versus the Dark Order. I'm gonna make. I didn't make my prediction for the first match. I agree with you guys, FTR, and in this one, I'm definitely going with the Elite. Chris G, who you got?
Silver, you little fucking kid. No, I'm I'm 29 years old. I'm going with the Elites.
Elite versus Dark Order. Who you got, Gary?
Got to be the Elite for the exact same reason. They need to keep building them.
Absolutely. Krssi?
Elite across the board.
It seems like a queen sweep right there, and we got the finals. Yes, there will be women's wrestling on AEW this week. A rare occurrence. A rare occurrence, it seems. We just did our episode True Hill Heat 86 about the problem with the AEW women's division and their lack of time on TV. And then last week they only had 5 minutes. We'll see how much minutes this gets with the finals of the Women's Tag Team Tournament Cup, as it's going to be the Nightmare Sisters of Brandy Rose and Allie. Why did they have? Why is Brandy in this finals? Okay, I'm not going to get into it.
I feel the same way as you, friend. I'm so sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
They will verse Diamante and Ivelisse. I am going to go with Diamante and Ivelisse. I'm begging them to win here. Krssi Luv, who you got?
Same. No. With no Brandy's, no.
Chris G?
If the Nightmare Sisters win, somebody fold me up in half, put me in a fucking suitcase, and send me into a...
Why are they called the Nightmare Sisters? Oh my god, that is the worst name ever.
I'm going with the Puerto Rican and the Cuban.
I mean, outside of their match with the Swole family, because the Swole family were one of my favorites in this tag team tournament cup, I think they call them the Nightmare Sisters. I mean, have you seen them in the ring? Gary, who you got? Nightmare Sisters versus Diamante and Ivelisse.
Say no more, friend.
The sweep has to be Diamante and Ivelisse, because surely they wouldn't have Brandy win the tournament. We hope.
we would hope, right? Exactly.
And we talked about this on the previous episode. All the storylines and stuff have been about Brandy, pretty much. Like, unless it's been for a title, all the storylines have been about Brandy. So we will see with the finals to the tag team tournament. Next up, we got a big 8-man tag. This is going to be crazy. Lucha Bros, Butcher and the Blade versus Dustin Rose, QT Marshall, the Natural Nightmares, and Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. Who you got, Gary?
Wow.
Yeah, trying to remember all those names for a start is a nightmare. But I think I'm gonna put my neck on the block here and tell you who takes the pinfall, and I think it's QT Marshall.
That's a good one, yeah. Chris G, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Butcher and the Blade and Lucha Bros.
Who you got, Krssi?
Butcher and the Blade, Lucha Bros, for sure.
All across the board, Lucha Bros, Butcher, and the Blade. And finally, in the main event, it will be Cody defending the TNT Championship against the leader of the Dark Order, Brody Lee. Mr. Brody Lee. Chris G, Wednesday Night Warrior, going to be on a Saturday night. Who you got, Cody or Brody?
I think Cody's going to defend.
All right, Krssi.
Cody. Is anyone tired of him coming out with an entourage? Because I am. It's not necessary. It's really not needed. You don't need all those. You don't need all those people with you. But whatever. All you need is your you need your coach, and that's it. Like, you don't need the 500 million people that's coming behind you to coach you on. Like, got it to go, yay! Okay, no thanks. But he's probably gonna win still anyway. But anyway.
Gary, who you got, Cody or Brody?
Got to be Cody.
Cody, for you three, I am going to go out on a limb here, and I am going to say Mr. Brody gets the victory. I just feel like the Dark Order...
You just said you like the open challenge.
I love the open challenge, but I feel like Mr. Brody needs this victory more than any challenger that Cody has had so far, even more than Scorpio Sky, because Scorpio Sky got his build on AEW Dark, while Mr. Brody has been built up very strongly on Dynamite as well as being the Elite. I mean, like I said, the Dark Order are the highlight of being the Elite every week, but Mr. Brody needs a major victory since coming over to AEW, and I think this will be it. NXT Takeover XXX. No, this is not a sex tournament. It is NXT Takeover 30.
I see what you did there, friend.
On the pre-show, yes, we will get the competition right from the start, starting at 6:30. The pre-show for NXT Takeover 30. It will be NXT Tag Team Championship #1 contenders match, as it will be Joakim Wilde and Raul Mendoza of Legado del Fantasma. How did I do, Chris?
You did good. I'm actually proud of you.
versus Brizango versus Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. Who you got, Chris?
I got Oni and Danny.
Who you got, Gary?
I'm gonna kill the pronunciation, but I've got Legado del Fantasma.
You did great.
Yeah, you did better than Sid.
Krssi, who you got?
Del Fantasma.
I'm gonna agree with Krssi and Gary. I'm gonna go with Legado del Fantasma. And
he's too hot right now. He can't lose.
Hey, we got for the first match on NXT Takeover is going to be probably Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher. This has been building ever since the two men were in a triple threat match with Dexter Lumis to determine who would qualify for the North American Championship ladder match. Who you got? Balor versus Thatcher. Gary.
You're probably going to hate me here, but I'm going Thatcher. I think he ends that takeover streak.
See what I'm saying?
I can't blame you here, but I'm gonna go with Balor. I just feel like they said, he doesn't have the best win-loss record on NXT on Wednesdays, so he does win on takeovers. They're just gonna keep on the takeover streak. Chris G, who you got?
I can't remember the last time Finn won a match, so I'm gonna say Finn. He's due for one.
Yep.
Krssi, who you got?
You know I'm gonna go with Finn, so.
Of course. What was I thinking? NXT North American Championship ladder match. This is going to be an interesting one. We got Bronson Reed, who got quite the push, especially on this week's takeover. This week's NXT, he was the last man standing during that.
He's not winning.
At the end of the match, we got Damian Priest, Cameron Grimes, Johnny Gargano, and Velveteen Dream. It is the 5-way, 2 former champions in this one, but who you got to take the win, Krssi Luv?
Okay, so we put the 2 vets in there, which is Dream and Gargano, right? So to make these other young cats look good, right? So I want to go with Cameron Grimes. I feel like he should win the match. However, I think that they're going to give to one of the vets, which is probably Gargano.
So you're going with Gargano?
No. What I'm saying is, I'm going with Cameron Grimes, okay?
Okay.
You not thinking what I've just said? You didn't see what I just said, friend?
That was very confusing. Gary, who you got?
I think this is the toughest match to predict, but obviously it's got the most people, so that's why. For me, I actually think they might give it to Damian Priest. I think he's a good shout.
Larry Morgan? Nice. I like that answer.
That's her alias for one of our friends of the show. Shouts out to him. Chris G, who you got?
Well, I want Damian Priest to win. Not because he's Puerto Rican or anything, but I want him to win. But I think the North American Championship is going straight to the moon.
I so want to agree with you guys. I so want to pick Cameron Grimes, but I'm going to agree with Gary. I just think that Damian Priest has gotten so many shots at the North American Championship.
Yeah, you're right.
He's lost all of them. He lost that In Your House when he really probably should have won against Balor, but I think this is going to be his big win right here. Next up, we got the match everyone is talking about. It is the legend of NXT, the debuting Pat McAfee versus the longest reigning NXT champion in history, Adam Cole. 1-on-1, the biggest mainstream matchup in NXT TakeOver history. Who you got, Krssi?
Pat McAfee, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I really don't want him to win though, but unfortunately, it's the NFL star against the wrestling star, and you know money talks. So the football player is gonna win, unfortunately.
Chris G, who you got?
I don't see a lot of heel celebrities win, other than Kevin Federline, which makes me want to punch myself in the face repeatedly. But
Damn,
yeah, I don't see
what was
Pat.
that?
I don't even want to think about it. I don't. I'm gonna go with Adam Cole. I think he's gonna take it.
Okay.
I am gonna agree with Chris G here. I'm gonna go with Adam Cole getting the victory in this one. Gary, who you got?
I also have Adam Cole. I think it's going to be a good match, but I need to go Adam Cole.
We need Adam Cole to win.
We need him to win. I don't think that. Okay, can I switch my answer?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm gonna go. That's who I really, really want to win. Fuck that damn football player. But you know how when celebrities come on, you know they got to make them win. So, but I definitely wanted Adam Cole to win. I truly, truly want him to win. He needs to win.
You might be kicking yourself for changing that pick. NXT.
Who the hell knows? Like whatever. You'll let me know if I got my answers right or not.
NXT Women's Championship is on the line. We got Dakota Kai against the champion Io Shirai. This has been building for a couple of weeks ever since Io Shirai won the title. Dakota Kai's been calling her out. Now with Raquel Gonzalez in her corner. Who gets the victory here? I'm gonna go with Io Shirai defending the title. Gary, who you got?
I'm going to go with Dakota Kai due to interference. I think that's the way to do it, and then have Io Shirai chase the title then.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. Krssi Luv, who you got?
I got Io winning, retaining.
And Chris G?
Yeah, I'm going to stay with Io.
And in one of the biggest NXT championship matches in quite some time, we got Keith Lee defending the title against the undefeated, unstoppable Karrion Kross with Scarlett. Who you got in this one? We'll start with you, Chris G.
I am going Karrion Kross.
Krssi Luv.
Kross for the win.
Gary.
I'm going Karrion Kross, and then us not seeing Keith Lee in NXT again.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good one, friend. I like that one.
Right there. Right.
It might be time for Keith Lee to make that jump, but I am gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say Keith Lee gets the victory over Karrion Kross. I like I said, that video package convinced me. Maybe we went out with Keith Lee with burning eyes. Maybe he overcomes the odds here. And then we have to move on to the biggest party of the summer, SummerSlam 2020 in the Thunderdome. We got Gary's favorite match, the most anticipated match for him this weekend, hair versus hair. Mandy Rose versus Sonja Deville. This has been building from way before WrestleMania, when Sonja Deville was revealed as the person who tried to sabotage the relationship between Mandy and Otis. This has been one of the best built stories in all of WWE in 2020. It had a beginning, middle, and end, and it's very rare that we say WWE storylines have a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the end right here. Sonja versus Mandy. Who you got, Gary?
You guys might think I'm crazy, but I think the woman getting her head shaved is Mandy Rose.
What? Wow.
Oh. You think they just trimmed it down so they can take it all off?
Make it easier for the shave.
Makes sense. Chris G, who you got?
I'm going to go with Mandy Rose winning.
You got Sonja going bald.
Yes.
Or
shaved.
Yeah, at least a little trim right here. Look good, a nice little bob. I'm going with Mandy for the win.
I'm going to agree with Chris G and Krssi. I am going to go with Mandy for the win, and Sonja rocking the nice head shave look, and it would just make her look like more of a badass. Daddy Deville. Yep. Daddy Deville is gonna look.
You know what? I'm done with you.
More of a badass. Street Fight. This is one of the other most anticipated matches of the week, as a long built storyline right here, as Seth Rollins with Murphy will versus Dominic Mysterio with Rey Mysterio in his corner in a street fight. Who you got? Seth versus Dominic. I am gonna go with Seth Rollins to get the victory in Dominic Mysterio's first match. I feel like Dominic Mysterio got his revenge on Monday to set up Seth getting the victory here. Who you got, Gary?
I'm also agreeing Seth Rollins after a lengthy match that makes Dominic look like a star.
Yep.
Krssi, who you got?
Same. Seth for the win. Build Dominic up. He can't win so fast. Still, the storyline is not over yet. It's not over.
Chris G.
Papi, see me, huh? I'm gonna go with Prince Mysterio.
Oh my God, I can't.
Which is his rumored name.
Good call there. That's gonna be his next name after he loses this introduction match probably. First off, we got for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley will go one-on-one with Asuka. Who you got in this first part of the Women's Championship series, I guess, with Asuka? I'm going to predict in this one, Bayley getting the victory over Asuka. And just to kind of give us, to shorten time for the Raw Women's Championship, why I'm picking Bayley in the SmackDown one, I think Asuka wins against Sasha to become the new Raw Women's Champion.
I was going to say opposites, friend.
Krssi, you're going with
I'm going opposites. I'm going to have Bayley lose and Sasha wins. Bayley had all this time. It's time now to let it go and let Sasha be the one that's on top and have both belts.
All right, Gary?
I'm completely agreeing with you, Sid. I think it is Asuka, Raw Women's Champion, Bayley, SmackDown Women's Champion.
Okay.
And Chris G?
I'm thinking a little outside the box. I'm going to say Asuka's going to win both belts. I think it's time to have one women's champion.
Oh, okay.
So Asuka's going to be the second behind Becky to hold both Raw and SmackDown Women's titles, according to Chris G. WWE United States Championship, or as we like to call it, the Dipset Championship.
It is. No, they need to give him some money.
Apollo Crews will defend against MVP with the Hurt Business banned from ringside. Who you got in this one, Chris G?
I'm going to go MVP.
Going MVP. Gary?
MVP as well here.
Krssi?
Not MVP, no. Sorry. Not on Montavious, Claudez, Flores, whatever his damn name is, no.
You're going with Apollo.
I'm so sick of him. Oh my God. He annoys the shit out of me.
So you're going with Apollo.
I'm going with Apollo.
You just went with anti-MVP.
Yep.
I'm going with MVP as the Hurt Business is banned from ringside. The newest member of the Hurt Business will interfere, Cedric Alexander.
I do see that. Oh, man. Damn it.
Raw Tag Team titles is on the line as the Street Profits with the non-poisoned Montez Ford versus Andrade and Angel Garza. Who you got in this one, Krssi Luv?
I got Street Profits.
You got Street Profits all the way up.
All the way up.
Chris G?
I want the smoke. Like, literally, I want the smoke right now because I don't have any. I'm going to go with the Street Profits.
I am going to go with Andrade and Angel Garza because they've lost way too much in this lead-up. It just sets up a victory. Gary?
Completely agree. I want it to be the Street Profits, but I think it's going to be Garza and Andrade.
WWE Universal Championship is on the line. Braun Strowman will defend against The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Gary?
It's got to be The Fiend, hasn't it? Or yes. maybe I'm going to change my answer. It's going to be Otis pinning Braun Strowman.
What? Wow.
I totally forgot he even has Money in the Bank.
Exactly. I think it might be Otis pinning Braun Strowman.
You haven't seen him for so long, you forget.
Yeah.
Krssi, who you got?
I have The Fiend. Please let The Fiend win. The whole Otis. Yeah, he's gonna be champion for like 2 seconds. Like it's gonna be like the 24/7 championship. He's gonna win and then gonna lose.
And Chris G.
Man, I hope Otis doesn't cash in. I love Bray. I love Bray to way too much, man. The Fiend, he needs to bring that title home, baby. We need it back.
Yes.
I am going to go with The Fiend getting the victory in this one. And finally, the main event, WWE Championship is on the line. Drew McIntyre going one-on-one with Randall Keith Orton. and I said it on Sportskeeda, the best year ever of Randy Orton will continue. Randy Orton will get the victory and become the 14-time WWE champion. Kerry, who you got?
Completely agree, and I really want it to be Randy Orton that wins, and then have Drew McIntyre get the crowning moment when the crowds are back in. I think Randy Orton as a champion right now would be the best thing on WWE television.
Yeah.
Chris G?
Yeah, I'm 100% and agree with Gary. Just as much as I don't want Drew to lose the title, I think Randy has been on such a roll that he deserves, that 14th championship. He is the best heel in WWE right now. And then when the crowds come back, you let Drew get that crowning moment.
Yeah.
Krssi?
You would be a fool not to make Randy Orton champion right now. This build up has been so good. For him to lose is like, what was it all for? Like, it makes no sense. Like, the whole story behind it, if you're going to do it right and do it the right way where he's supposed to be on top, then Randy should win. And let Drew get it back and be in front of a crowd when you go into crowd. He's probably going to have crowd there eventually because he's going to copy AEW. Anywho, my answer is going to be Randy Orton for the win. He needs to be the champion right now because he's so hot right now.
The one caveat I will say is that Drew will get the Claymore and get the visual victory, and then Retribution will attack the referee. Some chaos will happen, and in the chaos, Randy Orton will take advantage, and that's how he becomes champion. Because, I think, like Gary said, Retribution will set up payback. So our final plugs, that is all for everything we had to talk about with the weekend. It's going to be a huge weekend with SummerSlam coming up. Our plugs for our lineup for our YouTube channel and all new Wednesday Night Warriors, J News Japan, True Rewind, Going Raw with Drunk Guy JJ featuring the Stat King are all up on the YouTube channel right now. So you could see Chris G some more on Wednesday Night Warriors as he talks about the Go Home show for NXT. My exclusive interview for True Heels BTR with Vince Valor of the Invincible Vince Valor is up on the YouTube channel as well. An all new special Saturday edition of AE Recap is going to be up this weekend, as well as Dark Power with the Stat King. And you can check out our YouTube channel for early in the week for next week. NXT Takeover 30 as well as WWE SummerSlam 2020 pay-per-view roundtables are going to be up on the channel, featuring all cast of characters from your favorites from True Heel Heat. Gary, we want to thank you very much for coming on the show
and staying up late with us.
Absolutely. And tell them where they can follow you on all your social media, your Twitch page. You are a busy man, so tell them where they can follow you.
Firstly, thank you guys for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure just getting to sit back and chat about wrestling and have some fun. But yeah, pretty simple. I've not got the Gary Cassidy tag on Twitter because some guy with 20 followers has it. So instead, all I do is tweet about wrestling. So I am Wrestling Gary on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything. Just Wrestling Gary, Wrestling Gary, and then on Twitch, someone had stole that name, so it's Gary Talks Wrestling on Twitch. And hopefully I'll get, a little bit of a retribution on one of those people that have stolen the name.
Hey, we never know. He could be a member of Retribution. Maybe Gary is just pretending he's across the water from us.
I hope to meet you in person when all of this crap is over. We can all meet up and have drinks and enjoy and talk shit about wrestling, and I can't wait.
Oh, I'm going to Ireland. We need to hit a pub, baby.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to get over there, man.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm thinking next year was going to be the year that I'm like, I'll make that venture to the States, take it all in, and then do the culmination of WrestleMania. And now that seems a little bit far away. So we'll see if it actually happens, if it's possible. If it's possible, I'll make it happen.
Hey, if it's possible, LA, California is a great place to be for WrestleMania for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So you guys can follow us on social media, the True Hills group page, True Hill Heat over on Facebook, Twitter, and the Instagram. That is the marker for all of us, for all our social media platform to keep up on all our latest videos and news from wrestling. It is True Hill Heat. Krssi Luv, where can they find you on social media?
I am the sensation Miss Krssi Luv. You can find me. I'm one of the co-hosts on True Hill Heat and SmackDown with the Lynches. We will be back. The video should be out next week. For our predictions, you can follow me on IG, Twitter, and on Facebook. Krssi Luv _ or Miss Krssi Luv or just Crystal Lynch.
Chris G.
You can find me on Instagram at spick_flair_woo. 3 O's. Joints and Jabronis coming out later this month with my man Pa Hill Ness making his Joints and Jabroni debut. I'll be here on True Hill Heat. You can find me on Wednesday Night Warriors. We got the NXT Takeover. I'm everywhere, baby.
Everywhere. And you can follow our partners, Battle Club Pro, Warrior Wrestling, Wrestling Travel on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our good friend, our co-host, Top Guy JJ, is True Heel _ Top Guy JJ on Instagram. He will be back. He will be
Absolutely.
back next week for our 3-year anniversary, the return of Top Guy JJ to True Hill Heat, as well as we will have special guests, the promoter for Uncanny Attractions, Uncanny Wrestling, Delnicious will be on True Hill Heat 89, so check us out next week on YouTube. Follow all of our friends, Battle Club Pro and Warrior Wrestling are up on there, as well as Wrestling Travel. Shout outs to them and Justin Clapper. They just achieved 1K subscribers on YouTube, so congratulations to them. Our other members of the holy trinity of wrestling journalists are also on all your social media platforms and YouTube. Alex McCarthy as well as Tom Conahue. Like Gary said before, you can follow the good brother on Twitch. He's doing a lot of great stuff on there, and you can listen to True Hill Heat on iTunes, SoundCloud, Anchor, Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. So until True Hill Heat 89, our 3-year anniversary next week, we are signing off for True Hill Heat 88. For our very special guest, Gary Cassidy. For the princess of all the True Hills, Miss Krssi Luv. For the marijuana enthusiast himself, Chris G. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are signing off until next time.